Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Thinking Thursday. Hey, it's Chris Sauls, your host here. We're on episode 3. Today, we're going to talk about who you meet matters and what you bring to the table matters. Sitting here thinking this morning because it's Thinking Thursday, folks. That's what it is. It's the time where you get to hear some, hopefully, not completely random thoughts from me, but maybe a few. So here it goes. Thinking about this week, I started my business on May the 1st, Chris Saul's coaching, but it's not my first rodeo with the coaching arena, but it's also not I'm not just jumping out into the business world. I've been in technology for 3 decades, but around my local area, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, in the what we call the RTP or the Triangle. I don't know. There's 1,000 names for it, but if you live in Raleigh and the surrounding areas, that's where we are, or that's where I'm at, and that's where these groups are at. So recently, I've had an opportunity to go into several different business groups and several different like B2B groups, several different groups that are based on my values, that are based around the values that I believe in, Christian values, and some that are just business based, and some that are Christian business based, and some that are, just based on good values and helping people to be better speakers. And I thought about what really matters is who we meet in those rooms matters. And taking a moment to think about the folks that we meet and what that really means when we're in those rooms. Like taking a moment, listening to them. And I'm going to cover like 3 areas here, one in each one of these groups. Let me start with my probably my longest running that I've been in. I'm actually in Toastmasters, and if many of you don't know what Toastmasters is, I'm going to simplify it down to it's a professional speaking club. It's a place where if you have a fear of public speaking or you would like to improve your public speaking, you can go to Toastmasters. Well, I am currently a member of Born Toastmasters in downtown Raleigh. We meet at the Commons on the 13th floor in the training room there, and we meet every Friday at 8:30 a.m. sharp. We end our meeting at 9:30 a.m. and we have 3 speakers that come and they speak, and they may be speaking about their business. They might be speaking about a story that they plan to share with the world in another fashion, and that is what we do. And I've been there since 2018 after the year I got certified as a Maxwell leadership coach. So because I wanted to improve my speaking. Now, after being in Bourne for that time period, there's a lot of history there. And like I said, who you meet in the room matters. I met my wife there. I met my wife in Bourne Toastmasters. Thank you to Tom Miller for introducing me to Norm Wood, which introduced me to Francesca Kober, which is now Francesca Kober Sauls. And that is the story. That is part of what goes on in these rooms is who you meet in the room matters, and what you share and give in these room matters. Uh, so moving on from Born, though, just talk about Toastmasters. By the way, faster, just to kind of tie in a piece there. It's probably been 20, let me see right here, 22 years ago, someone mentioned Toastmasters to me, maybe 23 years ago. I said, what is it? And they didn't tell me. And they didn't, there was kind of like an open invite, but they didn't tell me what it was and they didn't give me enough insight. So I didn't go, I didn't know, I didn't try to figure it out. So if you hear someone invite you to Toastmasters, look it up. Toastmasters International. You can find it online today. 2003, 2002, not so easy. But today it's pretty easy to go and find out what a Toastmasters group is. There's a bunch of them around the Raleigh, Durham area. I highly encourage you, if you are younger, if you're in the Gen Zs, millennials, if you've never done public speaking and you're interested in doing that, a Toastmasters group is a good place to go. All right, moving on from there. Again, it's really been this thinking on, who we meet matters, and what we share and what we learn in these rooms matter. What we learn in these rooms with these people matter. Uh, I'm reminded of a lesson in life that someone told me one time. When you're 10 steps ahead, you're unrelatable. When you're 2 steps ahead, you're relatable. So when you walk in a room, if you've been in business or I'm going to use myself as an example. I've been in technology for 3 decades. I worked in the technology industry, 5 different verticals. I've done all of these different things in the technology industry and still don't know enough about it. I know enough to be good at it. In some places, I want to feel like I do better. But the simple fact is, in technology, it's constantly changing. It's an ever evolving way of life. And a lot of times you walk in these rooms, don't be surprised if there's not someone in there 20 years you're younger that has a much better handle on a particular technology stack than you. Hey, they may not know everything about the implementation strategy potentially. They may, but don't go in that room thinking you're 10 steps ahead. Remember, being 2 steps ahead is relatable. And that's the same for those that are the subject matter experts in that place. It's one thing to, share your knowledge and, go around the tour of how smart you are, but it's another thing to back it down to a level where the people in the room can actually understand you, can relate to it, and actually can learn the lesson from it. So I'm very much reminded of that in each and every time when I'm working on these things or going to these groups, because again, when you spend time with a group of people, I think we've all heard this, the five people here, let me get in the camera, five people that you spend the most time with over the next 5 years will most likely in all cases show where you will end up at. Um, I know that seems strange, but that's a biblical principle. It's very much it's a business principle. If you want to learn how to be better in business and you want to be better at it, I know recently I've heard this statement a few times, and someone said, well, look, those people have done that. I'm going to learn from those people that are where I want to be, and I am going to listen and learn and read and understand where they are coming from because they know something. They have a model or a pattern that I can follow that will get me there. So again, talking about thinking Thursday, this is where my mind's at when we're talking about getting together with people and why. There's not a there's a formula. Everybody has formulas for networking and other things. And these are not networking groups I'm talking about, folks. These are more what we would, the Born Toastmasters is a place for learning how to be a better speaker. I'm going to talk about C Suite for Christ. A friend of mine, Dan Simon, is the chapter leader here in the Raleigh Durham area. Went to his meeting. I've been a couple of times. I find that meeting fascinating for Christian leaders in the corporate America. It is a great place to connect, to recharge, and it happens on a Tuesday. And I feel like, after you leave church on Sunday, you come to the battle on Monday. By the time you get to Tuesday, you need to fill that vessel up again. And it's a great group of people. There is some networking involved there, but there's also a public speaking opportunity there in that group. There's a speakers bureau there. It's a growing organization across the nation. And it's really, really designed to be unapologetic about your Christian beliefs while you're in a corporate workspace. Again, may not be for everyone, but I will say for Christian leaders that are in corporate America, it's a good place to go and learn how to operate in your business. If you're a CEO level, a C suite in your business, it's a good place to go and connect with other C suite folks where you can learn. Again, it's a place where you can come in to share, you can come in to learn. But remember, being 2 steps ahead is relatable, 10 steps is not. All right, moving past that one, jumping into the final one that I just went to this week and found it. And this is one of the groups and one of the things that I think we've overlooked and missed in our everyday lives, that this was going on way back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's been going on since then, but it really matters. And I think a group like this, if you can find a really good group to get in where you're, I would say, vibing with or grooving with or whatever you want to call it, or a group that just, fits your needs, fits where you want to be, and inspires you, encourages you, and creates motivation for you in your life, is the thing to do. And it's called a mastermind group. And the group that I'm talking about right now is the Triangle Men's and Women's Mastermind Group that meets, if I get it right, you'll have to look it up. I'll put some information out about each one of these groups. I'll put it in the part of the post when I do finish this up. But what the Triangle Men's Mastermind, they're meeting. They've got a good group there, heartfelt group that's looking to help you solve business problems, help you solve maybe go over personal issues or whatever. But here it is, it's in a safe space. So what's said in the room stays in the room. So it's not a place where you're going there, and you're going to come out and take everybody's stories and then broadcast them. That's not what that's for. So I want to, obviously respect the group, but it's a good group of men. The women's group's the same thing. Great group of women leaders, women business owners. They are really knocking it out. They're very meticulous about the way they do things. They have it laid out nicely. They have structure, and it's a mastermind group. So let me jump back on that as I go through this. Mastermind. Think about putting 10 people in a room or 5 people together, and you're in there and you present something, and then you get 4 different perspectives, or you may get, 2 perspectives, but you get different angles on each part of that. That mastermind, it can be a problem solver. It can be a sounding board. It can also be a way to uniquely solve problems. Now, there are masterminds out here in the world today that I know are going on. They're called master classes. They're called, I don't know, there's 900 names for them. They're in all types of things, small groups, all of this. But when you put a group of people together and you present the problem, and now you're getting different perspectives and different angles, you are going to get the best answer. We don't always answer our situations or our problems in the best possible way. Let's be honest. I mean, I'm honest with myself. I sometimes know the direction to go in, but more often than not, every now and again, or more often than not, I like to sound things off of other people. By the way, I talk to think. That's the reason why Thinking Thursday to me is very much a part of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, is because I believe there's a lot of us out there that talk to think, but those of us that talk to think have to be reminded and remember this. There are the other side of the house that they think to talk. They think to talk. I'm taking a breath here because I need to let my thinking to talk groups think about what I've been saying and come back with what they want to say. And what's really impactful in that space is often their 2 sentences will carry more weight than my 10. Now, I'm not putting myself down there in that case. It's when I'm talking to think, I'm oftentimes exploring ideas. Thank you, Russell, for giving me that a couple of weeks ago. I'm exploring topics, I'm exploring the idea. And then I'm working my way to an area, to kind of what I'm thinking, how I think about it, what my real outcome from that, what I see as the outcome from that, and where I'm trying to get to. Whereas our thinkers to talk, they've already processed all that. They're very formulated. Generally, I won't even say task oriented, but they're very thoughtful about their answer, and they're careful with their words, and it's very meaningful. So, for each and every one of you today, what I'd like for you to take away from this is who you meet matters, and what you share and learn in those rooms matters. Remember, if you're in a mastermind, if you're in there, like I said, that information is for the room only. You can get permission if you want. If there's something that you feel like other people need to hear, talk to the person. Ask them, are they okay if you share the story? Maybe you take them out of it. Maybe you put it up as a hypothetical, but you can always check on that. That's the things to do. But again, what goes on in the room stays in a room. And that's what a real mastermind is. Masterminds around the country right now, I know there's masterminds running for business owners out there, just being completely transparent here as a coach. Business owners out there, don't discredit doing a mastermind on different topics. My wife and I were both in business. She's a web designer. I'm a coach, speaker, and trainer. And as I sit back and think about it, masterminds that are running for like $25,000 a year per seat. Now, obviously, they're solving some big problems. I've had an opportunity to sit in and listen to a session in that particular arena with a whole group of CEOs. It's a very powerful meeting where things can be done differently, and it depends on the way it's organized. And again, like I said, each and every mastermind is set up a little differently, but the basic rules are there. Everybody gets an opportunity to participate, and it's an open forum to safe type space. When I say safe space, as in what you say in a room stays in a room. But the other thing is no judgment, a place where you come to empower, inspire, and encourage others through your story, and to try to help people not um, not fall down the same rabbit holes that maybe you've been in, or to get too deep in the valley and can't get out. All right. Well, that is wrapping up Thinking Thursday today. I hope, pray, and believe that you got something from this today. Take the notes, do that. I will put out a post later that kind of summarizes this. I will also put the groups in there. Again, I'm going to recap them. We got Born Toastmasters Friday mornings, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. at 150 Fayetteville Street in the Wells Fargo building. We meet in that building on the 13th floor of above the Commons. Um, we have the C Suite for Christ, which meets once a month. And then we also have and I'll get you the information on that. And then we also have the Triangle Men's and Women's Mastermind. I will put all of that information together. If you're thinking about groups that you want to look into, or you're thinking about groups that maybe others should do, put it in the comments, put it down there, let us know about it. Look, business owners, we're out here to help each other. There's plenty out here for all of us. There's coaches, speakers, and trainers that I promote on a regular basis. There are web designers. I promote my wife's web design business, one of the best designers I've ever met, been in the tech industry for a long time. I've got plenty of other folks that I would like to talk about right now. I may put them down in there. But if you know of a good group that people can learn from and a place where you've had a great experience, share it in the comments. People need places to connect. We are in a world today where we're more disconnected with more options to connect than we've ever had. So don't be disconnected by your own fault. Connect people together. All right. Have a wonderful Thursday. Thank you for joining the Thinking Thursday podcast today, and we will talk to you next week.